Okay, join me as I get ready and talk to you about my experience with mom rage. Maybe you know it, that like peaceful, gentle yogi mom, 1 minute, and then 0.2 seconds later, you turn into a fire breathing dragon. All good. I want to talk about it. I no longer want to keep this inside of me and kind of secret. I no longer want to keep this secret. I want to talk about it with you because I have a feeling I'm not alone. So, welcome to New Mom on the Block. I'm glad you're here. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to New Mom on the Block. I'm Lindsay Legister. I'm going to be getting ready. I have to head into the city for an interview today, but I wanted to talk about something that one of you DM'd me about. And I was like, ooh, how did you know? How did you know that I experienced this? I haven't really talked about this a lot, but I know that I cannot be the only one. And that is, I have mommy rage sometimes. I have these very intense, sudden moments where I feel like I'm losing it, like the wheels just come off. It is a moment I've realized of like complete overstimulation, when I am overtired, when I am running on fumes, when I haven't asked for what I need. And it's actually shocked me. It's totally shocked me. I've been like disturbed by myself, where I'm just like, is there something wrong with me? What is happening? But over time, I've kind of realized what causes these moments, like what leads up to these moments. I've actually read up on some of the science behind it, and I have learned some practices and in the moment pivots that have really, really helped. So I want to share that with you today. What it is, what's the science behind it, what's actually happening, what is your rage trying to teach you, and how we can kind of become really centered and present in the moment rather than losing our absolute. You know what I mean? Okay, so what is mom rage? And like, what's the difference between like another moment where you're kind of frustrated? Mom rage, in my experience, is like this visceral, almost seemingly uncontrollable reaction to a moment where like I don't feel like myself. It feels like this rush of energy where like I need to expel it somehow. Granted, I would never, ever, ever hurt my child. That has never been something in the moment that I wanted to do, though I'm sure that's kind of common too. I don't know, but I can imagine where it's like, but for me, it's just kind of this physical manifestation of the frustration, of the overstimulation. And it's almost as if this little like dragon comes out for a moment and rears its ugly head. And I'm like, what was that? But afterwards, I feel a little bit better. I feel as though, like, you know that feeling after you throw up and you're like, I didn't like throwing up, but I do feel better. It's kind of like that. And what I've realized, it's like, it's triggered by the demands of motherhood, okay? This is, dare I say, the hardest job on the planet. Dare I say, the most fulfilling job on the planet, right? It is both. Now, in my experience, my mom rage is usually in a moment either by myself or when I'm with my child. It's usually as a result of something my child's doing, whether it's like kicking, screaming, and punching me. Because sometimes he does that in the middle of the night and I'm just overtired. I never direct the rage at him. It's more just ask the situation. But some of you might direct this mom rage towards your partner. Maybe it is towards your kids. You know, maybe it's towards yourself. Maybe you like freaking punch a wall. I don't know, but it can be one of those three. And it is usually followed up by a lot of like guilt and shame. So let me know if you feel that. Drop a little comment. Like, do you feel that guilt and shame almost immediately afterwards, where it just feels like, what was that? Who was that? Oh my God, my child just saw that, or my partner just received that. Ugh, like what part of me is that? Like, I don't like that part. But what I want you to know and truly hear is that it is completely normal. Studies show that moms, especially of young children, can overload their nervous system because of high levels of sensory overload. So you are overtouched. There's loud noises and screaming or crying. Like, the demands of motherhood can be a total sensory overload, causing just kind of like a malfunction of the nervous system in that moment. Also at play are your hormones, the fluctuation of your hormones. You might be breastfeeding, you might be weaning, you might be newly postpartum, you might be a year postpartum and still experiencing fluctuations in your hormones. This can contribute to your mood, even your nervous system regulation is connected to everything. So have a lot of grace for yourself. And finally, lack of sleep might be contributing to this as well. I haven't had like a full night's sleep many days in a row in a long time. I've just accepted it as like my reality for a little bit. You know, we try our best, we try our tactics, but like it just is what it is. But sleep deprivation is so real. I had to tell my husband the other day, I'm like, yo, when I get a good amount of sleep, I am an angel mom. I can handle anything and I can be calm and present and peaceful in the face of almost anything. When I am sleep deprived, please watch out. Like, I can't predict how I'm going to react. I try my best, but like, it's such a real stress on the body. So know that that is absolutely a factor. And finally, I found that if I go a certain amount of time without my needs met or without asking for things that I need, it's a disaster. Like, I am resentful towards my partner. I am like, how could you not know that I need this? And he's like, I'm not a mind reader. You need to tell me. Kind of turns into like a shit show. So I've learned that I need to ask for what I need, receive help. It does help. It does compound over time, and I feel less of the load and thus able to just regulate my nervous system a lot quicker and a lot easier. Here's a couple examples of like how mom rage shows up for me. So say you are at the end of like a long day. Maybe you haven't done anything for yourself at all. It's been all about your child, and you are making dinner for them, you know, the third meal of the day, atop of all the snacks that you have to like magically appear for them. And your toddler, after you've made dinner for them and set it out, eats nothing. They start screaming, they start throwing it everywhere. That will set me off. And my reaction is usually like, I either like slam a cabinet or I yell. You know, I could be like, Maddie. I might like grip the counter, grip my teeth, which doesn't seem like, oh, a big deal. But in the moment, it is this surge of energy that I have to somehow expel. Another one that's like more common for me is in the middle of the night. So if Mav gets up, and there doesn't seem to be like a reason for getting up other than it being habit or something like that. Like if he has a poopy diaper or he's teething, I feel like I have a lot more patience. But if it just feels like, I don't know why you're getting up. And then he stays up for like 2 hours, which sometimes happens, almost like a split night. I need to put him back down in the crib and literally like stomp my feet, scream in a pillow, like kind of lose it without him in my arms because it is so overwhelming for me. Yeah, I've seen kind of like uncute sides of me in the middle of the night. That's generally how it shows up for me. I'm curious how it shows up for you. Tell me below. No shame. This is normal. I kind of got to this place where I was like, okay, I'm someone who's interested in personal growth. I'm usually pretty self-reflective and self-aware. But sometimes motherhood can be so overwhelming that you like forget to like do that. You forget to like kind of check in and be like, why is this coming up? Why is this happening? And I realized that like this rage was like totally trying to teach me something. A few things actually. And the first thing that I realized was that, you know, this rage was warranted because something was out of balance. Or multiple things were out of balance. And so this rage was kind of like a signal to that. So I was like, okay, kind of thankful that like now I know that when that rage comes up, I can kind of look to certain aspects of my daily experience or in my relationships and check in, you know, and get really, 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 really honest. So instead of thinking like, why am I such a bad mom in this moment? You could think like, what is this trying to tell me? What is this feeling? What is this rage trying to tell me? A few things come up for me often. It's like I'm overstimulated. You know, Mav might have had a week where he's like super clingy with me and just wants to be held and really fussy. And it's just like a rough week. You know, they have them. It's normal. They're toddlers. And I'm just feeling overstimulated. I'm feeling like touched out. And, you know, in the middle of the night when he only wants me, like it's just too much. it's just freaking too much. In those moments, I am trying to tap my husband more. And he's been great with this. So for example, like at bedtime, my husband has actually been doing bedtime. Sometimes he's at work and like doing that stuff, doing his stuff for work. So like bedtime hasn't been a consistent thing for him. But ever since I went to LA recently, he like took on bedtime. So when he's here, he does it. Even though bedtime is not like a battle anymore, it's just like having someone else do it, having that moment to myself is helpful. You know, it's like these little things that compound over time. If you are overstimulated, if you are touched out, how can you communicate that to your partner? How can they take on some of that load? You know, maybe it's like having moments of quiet and peace while your partner like romps around with your kids. I think a little bit goes a long way. You know, 30 minutes to yourself could last you a whole freaking day. You know what I mean? So communicate this. I'm going to bring this up a few more times because I think communicating with your partner is such a huge part of this, because we can feel like we're doing this alone, like we're taking on so much by ourselves, but it's really not true. We just might not be able to or feel comfortable or have the language to ask for what we need. Okay, the next thing I check in on is like the basics. So sleep, yes, is a huge one. If I'm not getting a lot of sleep, I am going to probably have more mom rage moments than I'm proud of. Also, like, have I hydrated enough today? I've been like kind of bad about it. I need to set myself up with like a big ass water thing and have it with me throughout the entire day, drinking all day, because otherwise I'm just like focusing on other things. Have I like nourished myself with really good food, like a good amount of protein, a good amount of good fats, like vegetables, fruits, like just real whole foods that feel good to my body? Have I done that today? Or have I been ordering all week? Try not to do that as much anymore, but like some weeks are just more than others, because sometimes that just makes me feel like crap. Right? So checking in on those like basic needs, like what am I missing? What am I lacking? What do I need more of and what do I need less of? Because when you neglect yourself, your body will scream for attention. And I think those moments of rage is part of like your body being like, take care of me. Okay, let's talk about resentment and like mental load. I'm someone who believes that like a partnership can't be and probably shouldn't be 50-50 all the time. Just not possible. It's not realistic. And so, you know, I am the primary parent. What does that mean? I am with Mav more than my husband is because he is working and he travels for work as well. So it just is what it is. It doesn't mean he's not as involved. It doesn't mean he's not a good parent. It just means like I spend more hours with Mav. And I know there are a lot of like one of the partners, whether you're it or your partner is, like that take on more of that load. That's something that I'm totally okay with, but being totally okay with it and having days where it's just too much are two different things and can exist at the same time. So I need to catch myself when I'm feeling resentful of my husband who, you know, say it's like a week where he's traveling a lot and like he hasn't been around to kind of experience the highs and the lows and all of that. And I'm like, you just don't get it. You just don't freaking get it. And nothing he could say could like really make me feel better. But I think what helps me is to like vent without him providing a solution. Like just saying to him like, hey, I need to vent and I don't need you to provide a solution at all. I just need you to listen, because I feel like, you know, we've just been like going and I'm having a totally different experience and I kind of need to fill you in on my experience. I think it'll help you and it'll help me. And then you could ask him or her, like, what's your experience? Like, how have you been feeling lately? Like, what's it been like for you? And I think that just brings us down to earth rather than so up in our own heads, you know, like that can happen very quickly in a partnership where we're just thinking like, where we're just so in our own story and our own experience. And I think it's really important that we like take those moments as much as possible to be like, yo, where are you at? How are you? What's working? What's not? Like, how can I be helpful? How can I be supportive? So that's been really, really helpful with that like resentment feeling. And then I had to get freaking real with myself about the mental load, because as a mom, we have a mental load that is like gargantuan. Okay, like so insane. But I had to get real with myself about like how much I was taking on because I just didn't want to make the effort to ask for help, or I didn't want to have to explain to someone else, or probably more likely in a lot of scenarios, or I didn't want to give up control. anybody else. So I had to get really honest with myself. Oftentimes my husband will be like, how can we provide more help? Like whether it's like bringing on our nanny for more hours or having his mom come in or my mom come in, like how can we make this easier? And I'm always like, no, well, and what do I really need? I just kind of need him to like listen to me and like validate me. Yes, I probably need more help too, but like the first step of that is like him understanding. I really want him to understand rather than just throw a solution at me. And then we can talk about like, okay, Lynn's like, why aren't you wanting our moms to come in? Like, is that just like too much logistical thing? You have to explain everything, but whatever it is. And I'm like, yeah, okay, can I let go of a little bit of control? Can I allow people to help me? It's like I need help, but like I don't always allow people to help me. I had to get real with myself about that. So ask yourself, like, am I like unable to relinquish control? Am I having an issue with that? Or is it annoying that I have to like put an effort to explain all my things to a caretaker? Just get honest about that. So yeah, this mom rage is a teacher for sure. I think the last thing that it really taught me to look at was my like old wounds and triggers. I think motherhood brings up a lot around my perfectionism. Motherhood is just a master class in things not going perfectly and things not going according to plan. And I really had to like loosen the grip on that. You know, whether it's like Mav just like making a total mess doing stuff. Like I'm really good at that now. I let the mess happen. He loves it. He enjoys it. I clean it up later. It's all good. I've also, you know, had to look at like, what hills do I want to die on? There's some things that are very important to me as a mom that are very important for me to advocate for and almost like fight for in a way. It sounds extreme, but like there are certain things that are very important to me and intuitively I know are important and what I should be doing and the decision I should be making. Some people don't understand or have something to say about it, but I think for me, it's been such a lesson in trusting myself and standing by what I believe and not abandoning how I feel just because other people don't understand or they feel a type of way about it. Between my husband and I, our rule is that like, you know, if one person cares about something very deeply and has like that intuitive feeling like very deeply, then we let that person lead and we trust the person to make the decision and lead on it rather than like fighting because we don't agree. Now there's nuance to that. So like do that what you will. But I think it's been such a lesson in just like not abandoning myself. And that can be really stressful because people have opinions. And sometimes the world isn't set up for the things that you intuitively feel are best for your child. It's not always the easy route. That has been stressful and sometimes caused like that buildup that causes mom rage, but it's been important for me to kind of hold that. So that's been a huge lesson. So you can really look at like, okay, what is this bringing up about my past experiences? Is this triggering me for some reason? What is it triggering? You know, what is this here to teach me about that? How is this healing my trigger? What's the opportunity to heal this? It's very powerful stuff. And I know we got a lot on our plates, but our children are also here to teach us so much. So be present for the lesson. Because at the end of the day, your mom rage is not about your kids. Your mom rage, my mom rage is not about your kid, is not about my kid. It really isn't. It is about what's happening within you. So that is where the energy and the focus should go. And that's where our work is. While I say it is normal, I also say it is a call to look at a few things, to check in on a few things. And it is really your responsibility. How do I center myself in the moment? This is something I'm practicing in real time and definitely not perfect. But let's talk about it. How do we center ourselves in that moment? I've given myself a 5-second rule. When I'm about to lose my shit, I feel it in my body. And so I will give myself 5 seconds to breathe deeply, close my eyes. Usually Mav is in my arms when this is happening. Usually it's overnight. I will hold him and I will just breathe in my nose and out my nose, kind of like back of throat type of breath. That helps me, but do whatever type of breath you like. It helps a lot because usually I am like breathing in my chest. I am in fight or flight. I am stressed the fuck out. And so if I can deepen and slow down my breath, my body responds. And in those moments, even in 5 seconds, I'm able to remind myself quickly that this is temporary and you are your child's safe space. So how can I become that safe space in this moment for myself, which translates to safe space for my child? When I take that breath, oftentimes I'll hold it for about 5 seconds, let it out, and just imagining that all of the insane rage is just kind of like melting away in that moment really helps. Often it will interrupt that like automatic anger response and shift me back into control of my body, control of my emotions. If after that like 5-second breath and hold, you're still feeling that, you might need a friggin' pause. You might need a break. So sometimes what I'll do, I will put him down. I'm okay if he is safe and he is okay, like he's fed, he's all the things. The boxes are checked, and I'll put him in his crib and he might cry, but I walk away for a couple minutes and gather myself. Sometimes I'll like splash cool water on my face, I'll pee, I'll get some water myself, and I will just breathe, and then I go back in. I try to use that as like a reset. I try to imagine just kind of like my center coming together rather than like this fractured crazy person all over the place. And those are very, very, very helpful. And I've gotten used to like him crying a little bit and knowing that he's totally okay, and I'm better for it. He is better for it when I come back. Other things you might want to do, you might want to jump around, shake your body, shake out the tension, shake out that feeling of rage. You might want to feel your feet on the ground, just feeling all 10 toes, the ball of your foot, the heel of your foot, and just imagining like kind of that like cord to the center of the earth, like really grounding you in this moment. So that has really, really helped me. Simple practices in the moment, giving you total permission. Let's just talk briefly about like how we can prevent this from getting to this point. We got to be creating small moments for ourselves throughout the day. I know it's not realistic to be like, let's go for a spa day and like do all the things. Maybe that can happen every once in a while, but like we're moms, it's not that easy. I think for me, it's about creating small moments, like when he's taking a nap. What do I need? What would feel really good? Maybe I take a midday shower, wash my hair, blow dry my hair, and just feel really good. Maybe I do a little skincare routine. Maybe I do a workout while he's napping. Maybe I clean. Maybe that would make me feel better. Like these small moments of self-care really do compound and really do make a difference. And then can we just lower our expectations, please? Because I think for me, sometimes I have really high expectations for how a day should go and a day should look and feel. Sometimes it goes to shit, and it's okay. We're going to have like bad days. We're going to have days where it's just like so crazy, so much, so unpredictable. But perfection is not the goal in motherhood. Presence is. Our presence is what they need. Our presence is what we need, to be honest. And then as for help, I feel like I've said it 85 times, but like we need to be asking for help. And I'm telling myself that because it's very hard. It's very hard because I think I do it the best, but that's not always true, because I really recently realized my husband is really good at bedtime, like really good at putting him to bed. So he's doing that now. And then just be compassionate, because mom rage is real. Mom rage is normal. It is about you and not what your child is doing. So it is really on us to kind of go within and be like, okay, what's really coming up? What do I need? What's missing? What's too much? How can I ask for help? Is this triggering me? What is it triggering? As if we don't have enough to do, but it's true. And with that compassion, we can just remind ourselves that like, I am doing my best. My best is not always perfect. It's okay to feel this way. Something I tell myself often. Just reminding myself that like I can repair and connect, like reconnect. I can repair and reconnect, whether it's to my child or to my husband, whoever I've kind of like lost it in front of. That's totally possible and healthy and normal. Totally normal. Okay. So if you are a mom and you have lost your temper, if you've like kind of lost your shit a little bit and then felt bad afterwards, it is normal. I see you. I've experienced this. I still experience this, and I want to talk about it. I think we should be talking about this more. It's such a shameful thing. It's such a thing that we feel like a lot of guilt around. It makes me feel better knowing that other moms are experiencing this. So in the comments, I want to hear from you. What's been your experience? Do you have any questions, any insight that you can share with fellow moms here at New Mom on the Block? Would love it. All right, I'm going to the city. Thank you for joining me for this one. I appreciate you. Subscribe to the channel. We're growing slowly but surely. It's so sweet. I adore just making this content for you all. It fills me up so much. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'll see you on the next one.